British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, who once lived the life of luxury, socializing with the rich and famous, running in the circles of princes and presidents, now facing the prospect of the rest of her life behind bars. In a bombshell verdict, a jury finding Maxwell guilty of sex trafficking, in addition to 4 of the 5 other charges against her.
It's a tremendous relief to be here. I wasn't sure that this day would ever come.
Her accusers taking the stand in the high-profile trial, saying when they were teenagers, Maxwell befriended, groomed, and offered them up to be sexually abused by her then-boyfriend, disgraced multimillionaire and convicted sex offender Jeffery Epstein. Annie Farmer, one of the 4 women who testified against Maxwell and the only one to publicly identify herself, calling the verdict a monumental step toward justice.
I just feel so grateful that the jury believed us and sent a strong message that perpetrators of sexual abuse and exploitation will be held accountable no matter how much power and privilege that they have.
A unanimous jury has found Ghislaine Maxwell guilty of one of the worst crimes imaginable: facilitating and participating in the sexual abuse of children, crimes that she committed with her longtime partner and co-conspirator, Jeffrey Epstein.
Maxwell has been in jail since her dramatic arrest at a New Hampshire estate in the summer of 2020, almost exactly 1 year after Epstein took his own life in his Manhattan jail cell in 2019 while awaiting trial on charges of sex trafficking. Prosecutors called Maxwell a serial predator, saying she and Epstein were partners in crime and that she helped facilitate and on some occasions participated in the sexual abuse of underage girls from 1994 to 2004. According to some of the victims, Maxwell encouraged minors to provide sexualized massages, including some where the young girls would be partially or fully nude.
ABC News first spoke to Annie Farmer in 2019 about her experiences with Maxwell and Epstein, and about what she says happened to her at his ranch in New Mexico.
I laid on the table and I was very aware that the door was open and I could be seen getting a massage. And then at some point she just takes the sheet down, so she, exposed my breasts. And I feel uncomfortable. I feel like Epstein can probably see me right now. And she touches me around my chest, but blurring the boundaries of normal or not normal. This was such a scary situation for me. So I just needed to just to manage that and to go on as if everything was normal.
She is isolated on this ranch in New Mexico. She has no way to communicate with anyone. She's alone there with 2 adults she does not know. She's only 16 years old.
I was sleeping in a small room. I was in my pajamas under the covers, and Epstein just sort of bounded in and said, I'd like to cuddle. Of course, he wasn't waiting for me to agree to that. He got into bed with me then. This was one of those boundary violations that was so clear, but knowing she's there, it makes me confused. Well, if they're partners, why? That doesn't make sense.
Annie says that Epstein physically restrained her and started pressing up against her. And she says she was frozen in fear.
I do remember getting out of bed and getting into the bathroom and shutting the door. I didn't want to admit what was going on was going on.
In 2019, Annie Farmer filed a lawsuit against Jeffrey Epstein's estate and Ghislaine Maxwell. She eventually accepted an offer from the Epstein Victims Compensation Fund, which required her to drop the lawsuit.
Another key witness in the trial, identified only by the pseudonym Jane, testifying that she met Maxwell and Epstein at summer camp when she was just 14 years old.
She's never been the same. She never will be the same. She's lived with unimaginable pain and suffering and emotional distress as a result of this heinous conduct that was committed against her. It's shaped her entire life.
Jane testified that Maxwell quickly became like a big sister, taking her shopping and to the movies, later encouraging her to give Epstein lurid massages that ended in her sexual abuse. Jane saying those illicit sexual encounters happened every time she saw Epstein over the course of several years.
This verdict speaks volumes, not just for our client, Jane, but for all the women survivor victims of this terrible abuse and violence that was inflicted upon them. This says that their pain, their suffering has been vindicated.
3 of Maxwell's siblings in the courtroom as their sister learned her fate. Maxwell's family standing by her, claiming the government only set its sights on her, turning her into a scapegoat after Epstein's death. Her family saying in a statement, "We believe firmly in our sister's innocence. We are very disappointed with the verdict. We have already started the appeal tonight, and we believe that she will ultimately be vindicated."
I think that anybody who sat and listened to the accuser's testimony, I'm a dad, I'm a brother, anybody listening to that testimony is going to have been moved. But that doesn't mean that I believe for a single second that my sister is guilty of the crimes of which she was convicted.
A date for Maxwell's sentencing not yet set. Her attorneys telling the court they want to wait until Maxwell receives her booster shot in light of the surge in COVID cases in New York.
I remain absolutely persuaded of Epstein's crimes. I'm equally persuaded that my sister will be exonerated on appeal and that these guilty verdicts will be overturned.
Tonight, global scrutiny now shifting to the UK's Prince Andrew, Ghislaine Maxwell's former longtime friend, after her sweeping sex trafficking conviction. The Queen's son currently facing a civil lawsuit in New York filed by Virginia Roberts Jeffery, pictured here with him and Maxwell decades ago. Jeffery accusing the prince of having sex with her 3 times, starting when she was 17, allegations he has repeatedly denied. For Maxwell, who turned 60 in her jail cell on Christmas, the verdict marks a stunning downfall for a woman born into wealth and status.
The justice system worked and said, this is not okay. If you're going to help someone abuse little girls and sexually abuse little girls, you will be held accountable. You will get arrested. You will go to jail.
For Annie Farmer, the sentence is a watershed moment, showing no one is above the law.
I think justice is a complicated term. We know there were other people involved and other perpetrators, and we certainly hope that there will continue to be investigations so that other people will be held accountable for the ways that they abused people.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.